Hello, my name is Vanessa Rios. Thank you for joining me today. I will be giving you a guided tour of the Galleria in my house. It consists of 6 art pieces. They are from different time periods, consisting of the ancient world, the age of faith, the Renaissance and Baroque Europe, 18th and 19th century art, from 1900s to present, and art of the future. I'm excited to show you around. Let's go ahead and go in and get started. Starting off, let me go ahead and show you my very first artwork. It's called the Burney Relief. It was created in 1800 BC by an unknown artist. It depicts a figure of a goddess-like creature. She has a human body, yet has talons similar to the owls that she has next to her. I chose this artwork because it definitely caught my attention. Immediately, it reminded me of Egyptian-inspired art, and that has always been of interest to me because of the role of women in the ancient world. Although this work is from Mesopotamia, it reminded me of great women leaders like Cleopatra and Nefertiti, and it shows the importance of women through religious tributes such as these that valued goddesses, not only just gods. It is also very empowering knowing that this is a tribute to Ishtar, the goddess of love, sex, desire, fertility, and war, and it showed just how important her role in Mesopotamia was. It makes me feel extremely empowered to be a woman. The next one is the Imperial Cross by an unknown artist, and it was created in either 1020 or 1030. Initially, I selected this art piece because of its extreme beauty and delicacy. It's very intricate and very flashy as well, with all the jewelry in gold. It is encrusted with jewels, which makes it extremely hard to ignore. This also carries great significance to me because it reminds me of the churches in Mexico. Many of the Catholic churches in Mexico are heavily inspired by art and beauty. The artwork on the wall of the churches is extremely detailed, and oftentimes, the interior of the church is decorated with gold paint or gold items. It reminds me of my childhood, my faith, as well as my culture. I would describe this as functional because the front side of it lifts off so you can put relics inside, as shown on the sides of here, and can only describe it with nothing else but just extremely beautiful and pleasant to the eye. Here is Judith and Holofernes. It was created in 1620 or 1621, and it is by the artist Artemisia Gentileschi. I chose this artwork because of its wow factor. It is extremely explicit and definitely calls your attention. I would also describe it as a very classy yet muted way to paint a murder. Although something very explicit is happening, the beauty of this artwork is greatly depicted through its detail and almost airbrush-like strokes. It is difficult to tell where one line from the brushstroke begins and where the other ends. The colors are slightly muted, yet they all work together in unison to create this vivid image. It means to me the extreme power of women and what we are capable of doing to protect and save our own. The story behind this painting shows Judith, an extremely beautiful widow who enters the tent of Holofernes, a general who is planning to destroy her home and city. It shows that she is very determined to save her city, and she can even be considered a hero to those people. It shows me just how strong women are, especially in times of dire need where it is do or be done. This right here is Bonaparte crossing the Grand St. Bernard Pass, 20th of May, 1800. It is by Jacques-Louis David from the 19th century. I chose this because I've seen this particular piece before in a humanities class that I have. In that class, we had a discussion of this artist and how he romanticized Bonaparte. I would describe this artwork as something extremely glorified. David made Bonaparte look like a hero, maybe even similar to a god. The surroundings of Bonaparte are extremely muted and only a few colors. yet he is here wearing a bright red, and it causes emphasis on him, so your eye directly visits him before any other part of the painting. It reminds me just how much some people loved their rulers, yet it also shows me the narcissistic attitude of many of the rulers and important figures in the 19th century. David was his personal artist whose job was to make Napoleon look like this and glorify everything that he did. This right here is a painting of Frida Kahlo from 1944, and it is named The Broken Column. Whenever I think of art, I have to acknowledge Frida and her work. She is by far one of my favorite artists for multiple reasons. Not only was she talented, but she also called for political and social change by questioning the status quo. Although she was yet to know it, she would be an important figure in feminist movements, and is a reason that inspires me to go against my own culture of Mexican machismo and know that although I am a woman, I am just as strong as a man. I would describe this artwork as very emotionally invoking, as well as explicit and having a shock value to it. Frida painted herself nude, and although already going against a male-dominated industry, she was oftentimes frowned upon for her nudity in her artwork. She is the center of attention here in her self-portrait, and you can definitely feel the pain that she was in when she was painting this here. The broken column in the middle signifies her spine after the terrible accident that she was in, and the corset here that is holding her together. I would describe this artwork as revolutionary due to the basic idea that it goes against everything that is socially acceptable during this time period. Last but certainly not least is the work of Chris Milk, and here is Treachery of Sanctuary, and it began touring the world in 2012. This greatly shows the future of artwork and just how technology is going to mesh with the arts. It uses projections of people that are straight in front of it, and tells the story of a birth and death and transfiguration. The great size of this makes it very difficult to ignore. I also think it's extremely intriguing considering that it is an interactive piece of art, and it makes it suitable for anybody to enjoy. I also feel like it makes this artwork a little bit more subjective, just because people are able to make their own storyline and images here when they stand in front of it. I would describe it as something completely different from anything that we've ever seen or what we consider to be art. It is just as symbolic and beautiful as many art pieces are, and especially since it symbolizes just how far along we've come technologically. It shows me just how creative and out of the box we are able to take our creativity through mixing it with modern forms of technology. It also shows me just how much art is able to change throughout time, as well as makes me a little bit more excited to see what is soon to come as we become more technologically advanced. Thank you so much for coming in and visiting. I hope you were inspired today by the pieces of art that I decided to choose for my house. The beauty in all of these art pieces is the differences that they carry. Although some were similar than others, they all can be interpreted differently by myself and other people. I hope you leave here today slightly more inspired and decide to join me and come back to revisit these pieces at my home. Thank you and have a lovely day.